You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It is the NFL show, and I am the horse. Yes, it's not AFL. Yes, it's not BBL. No, it's not NBA, but we're sick of Maverick and his bullshit. So Horse is in charge tonight, and joining me is the man who scored 452 last week, but could have been a lot more if he had to pick some of the plays that I had. But anyway, it's D-Fab. How you doing?
Good horse. How are you, brother? I tell you what, this is a fucking breath of fresh air, mate. Get rid of Mav. I'm done with him.
Yeah, mate. You can polish a turd, but at the end of the day, it's still a turd, isn't it? And also with us is the man who loves numbers. It's Secko. How you doing, mate?
Good, mate. It's you can polish a turd. Poor Mav just had a little sickie today, and he's just been replaced by the man himself. So
the goat.
I know we might never get him back.
No. He's very much a part of the NFL community, and it's great to see the interaction and the engagement that we're getting on social media around such a new sport that's come to NFL Supercoach. And you boys have been doing a ripper job, and I've been sitting backstage a couple of times, itching to get being a part of it. And yeah, one man going down just creates an opportunity for someone else. So I thought, fuck it, I'm in. Let's do it. So
let's do it.
Here we are. I didn't put my score up, but I scored very identical to you this week, Secko, in NFL Supercoach, 432. We see you, D-Fab, 452. But before we get into the winners and the losers, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get straight into an injury update. D-Fab, a few injuries this week.
Yes. Couple. Yeah, too many for my liking, to be honest. I guess looking at the injuries, the big concerns for me are the primos at tight end. So both Kittle and Bowers going down. I know we spoke about him on an earlier pod this week, but the hamstring, Kittle went on IR today, which is obviously a cause for concern. Supercoach-wise, you know you're getting nothing for 4 weeks now, so probably forces your hand. And I know that this is why I liked keeping a bit of salary in the bank here going in. Bowers with his knee as well seems to be that he's confident he's going to play. But Secko and I know, being NFL sickos for a long time, that these pesky knees and, little tweaks and stuff like that, they have this habit of sticking around. And, what feels like a 1 week plays next week. You just play this back and forth game where they're questionable, they're not training during the week, and you're getting these, half-ass results on game day. It's just not what you want. So, yeah, big concerns with those real primo tight ends. It's a pretty shallow pool of guys to choose from, so it's really not ideal for Supercoach.
The fact that nothing's come out yet on the status of Bowers this week, does that mean, or does that hold hope that he might be okay? Or do you think that I was about to call them the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, are they sort of just trying to keep information behind closed doors, Secko, or do you think that there's not much cause for concern here?
There's probably two schools of thought in that. Generally, sometimes it's a good thing. They have sort of almost forgotten about it because he's fine, he's performing fine. First practice has happened. What day is it today? Wednesday. So they're playing. See, the problem is they're playing Monday Night Football, and they're playing the late game as well. So they actually won't train until tomorrow. But they would have got the scans back by now. The game was on Sunday. So there's two schools of thought. It can be nothing at all, and they're just sort of going with it, or they're like, shit, this is bad. Let's get a second look at it, and just make sure there's no, bone damage or anything else that's sort of come about because of it. So I think no news is good news is a bit of a mantra a bit of an idiom in the world. In NFL, it's not necessarily the case. Sometimes it means a second opinion, which can spell disaster. And as D-Fab hit the nail on the head, bigger blokes, knees. I'm not overly optimistic that he plays this week, but I could be very wrong. And Kittle, we hit on Kittle, and like we foreshadowed the IR on Monday's pod. It was just it was a bad one. He pulled up. It was one of those ones like he was shot by a sniper sort of ones, and grabbed it. So yeah, he's a must trade, and he could be out for more than 4. I think he might be a 6-weeker, just quietly.
Yeah, right. We see Worthy from the Chiefs dislocated shoulder, so he is also on IR, I believe. So he's not going to be around for a little while. Kelsey doing his chances of getting more ball the world of good by taking him out. Drake London, D-Fab. He's done a shoulder as well. Has there been any updates with him?
It looks like a shoulder sprain. He's day to day. I'm not taking him out of Supercoach. I think NFL is a high contact game. Blokes are always carrying injuries. It's not uncommon for premium guys. Like, look at Malik Neighbours all last year. Neighbours last year, he had a broken toe and played the entire year with knowing he needs surgery, and he's doing the same thing this year. I'm not worried about a sprained shoulder. He's going to be fine. He'll suit up next week. He might be a little bit sore here and there. He'll miss a couple of snaps here and there if he comes down hard on his shoulder, but everything seems to say he's fine.
Beautiful. Brock Purdy, a shoulder and turf toe. So I read, a couple of weeks out. It'll be interesting to see, Secko, who they replace at quarterback for the 49ers. You got any insight as to who it might be?
Yeah, I think it's Mac Jones. Unless I went the team wrong. I think Mac Jones went there in the offseason from Jacksonville. Yeah, look, Purdy, I think the shoulder itself isn't too bad, but the combination of shoulder and turf toe, and reports are that the toe's not great. So I think it's going to be probably just 1 week, maybe 2. But I think he might miss out, which also hurts. I don't know who's left, Pearsall, but it probably does help CMC. So if you faded him off the potential calf, you got to see him look pretty bloody good. So they might be not so great this week as a general team, but CMC is going to be the RB1, I think. He'll be formats.
He'll be the diamond in the rough there. Jennings also with a shoulder there. How bad is that, D-Fab, or is he likely to play as well?
I'm probably erring more on the side of they'll hold him out for a week.
Okay.
I think if they were to force him to play, it's because they're so banged up everywhere else. Because right now they've got McCaffrey, Pearsall, and a bunch of nothing. So they kind of need Juwan. But knowing they're going against the Saints, they could probably afford to throw out their second, third stringers, almost treat it like a preseason game and just do their best to preserve the guys around them for health. Juwan Jennings also had a calf problem all through the preseason, so he's pretty banged up despite being only week 2. So if you did take Juwan Jennings as a bit of a POD, I'm probably looking to at least sit him on the bench, not pivot necessarily. Use one of your emergencies because we know they can be impactful, but as a starting point, I think he'll sit this week and come back next week against Arizona.
Gotcha. Evan Ingram from the Denver Broncos, Bronco country. He's got a calf, likely not to play from what I'm reading. He caught 3 or 4 targets for 21 yards against the Titans. And Golden from the Green Bay Packers. He's got an ankle injury, Secko. He's all good to go, though?
Yeah, he's all good to go. He's playing Thursday night football, so Friday our time. So we'll know. We already know he's full practice. They already had a practice. He'll play. Ingram, I'm worried about because he's an older dude. He's 31. He's had calf problems before. It's one of those history. If you have a history of the same injury and you're sort of getting on a bit, it's one of those things that can linger. So if you've got Ingram, I think. Well, there's a general rule in Supercoach, and if they're out for 1 week only, and you're pretty confident it's going to be 1 week and then back, you can hold and bench cover them. If it's 2+, you generally start to look to move on, if you've got a better option there, unless there's some outliers there, but, we'll get to that. But their break-even's massively low, whatever it is. But in Ingram's case, in week 1, you don't want to overreact, but this guy could seriously misses 1, he could miss 2, he could miss 3, he could miss 4. So it's not a bad idea. If you got Ingram in this, and I think he's pretty low owned, but I think if you got him, you can move him. I think his currency is pretty decent from the top of my head. Like he's the price up to someone, someone decent, won't be too much. Someone like a Kelsey, might actually go save some cash there. And as we know, Kelsey off the back of Worthy out as well is going to be potentially a high target, high volume kind of guy. So, I'd move off Ingram, but Golden good to go if you've kept him.
Beautiful. That'll do us for the injuries that we're going to talk about. Let's talk about the hot guys from round 1.
Pull over by this hot guy and let me out.
Elite QB and JJ strategy, Secko.
Yeah, so it looks like the winner this week was the people that went with the Sunday night game. Anyone who started Josh Allen and Lamar.
That was unreal.
And they seem to be all the teams that went sort of mid 500s. We'll touch to the best scores in the Unlimited League later, but if you got above 500, you went well. And a lot of the teams that sort of got those high 550s and 530s in that range, they all sort of seem to have Josh and Lamar. So, and look, Josh Allen was on 20 points at 3/4 time as well, so he ended up with 77.
He was nuts. Yeah,
he went nuts. And then obviously, if you started Lamar and Josh Allen, you most likely went JJ McCarthy as your bench guy. And he's 46. Again, he did like a little baby Josh Allen impersonation with I think 34 points in the last quarter or something like that as well. So he's going to make just boatloads of cash. That's him playing half a game, getting 46. He won't do it every week, but he's definitely going to make cash. So that's the strategy that looks like it's the winner. But week 2 can be different.
D-Fab, CMC holders, they'd be stoked that he output the way he did in round 1.
Yeah, 100%. And I spoke a little bit about it in the WhatsApp, spoke a little bit about it on Twitter and Instagram. CMC, we just didn't have enough information to justify pulling him out, in my opinion, because we know that CMC is 2 guys in one. He's a running back and a wide receiver when he's healthy, and he showed that, having 10 targets and having a full workload as a running back, and he was an absolute jet. And for the people that did hold faith, scoring that 36, he rewarded those guys. So yeah, CMC, he's a full go until he's no longer on the field, to be honest.
For sure. We see the questions coming through, ladies and gentlemen. We will address them. We'll take a break halfway through this podcast and we'll address some of them, and then we'll get to more at the end. Ashton Genty, D-Fab, 66% owned. He looked good. Touchdown too.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about Ashton Genty is that by the eye test, like the stats came out good, but he wasn't particularly impactful. He went against what looks to be a really, really good rush defense. Only averaged 2 yards carry. The touchdown kind of saved him, but the fact that he was still able to put up 21, make a shitload of cash, now sitting at a -6 break even, and the sky's the limit for him, because he's going to have these games, especially in the next 4 to 6 weeks, where he's playing these lower end defenses. He's gonna have those breakaway runs that we saw all through last year in college. For sure. That's why they spent such a high draft pick on him, and that's why we all said through all preseason we want this guy in our teams, because he's going to be a jet. So it was a really good start for him.
Couple of Secko, I asked this of you. A couple of other rookies that were pretty impactful as well. Travion Henderson from New England, Bill Crosby from the Washington Redskins. He was nice. Emeka Egbuka was probably the pick of the rookies in round 1, though. My God, he looked good.
Well, yeah, he did. Look, there was a bunch of guys that we said pretty much unanimously to go for in Supercoach this year. Genty was obviously one. He's 66% owned. He should be 100%. But the other one was Egbuka. D-Fab's my guy. Myself, Mav, Mull, all have spoken about him, and it just got better and better. Drumbeat got obviously harder and harder. He's just like. That second throw was amazing by Baker, but he just adjusts so well to the ball. He's obviously, you can just tell he's a natural wide receiver. So he's the kind of guy who's going to be just sticking around for a very long time in Supercoach this season. Break even's already -27. It's going to be in the minus well until his bye. So
100%.
Very low numbers anyway. So he's the kind of guy you can build on. Travion Henderson, a disappointing game. Only had. Was it 15 points, I think, but it was only on 38% of carries. The positive is we saw Ramondre. If you watch that game, Ramondre, I think he went at 2 yards per carry.
He was
12
shit.
yards,
He was ordinary.
He can't last. Like they've actually got a reputable coach now. He'll look at that and go, "No, let's just get this guy with juice." Travion went at over 5 yards a carry on his 6 or 7 carries, wherever it was. So won't be long. But the positive was 6 catches on 6 targets. The dude's going to be looked at by Drake May. So if you started Travion, happy days. And Bill, our mate Bill Krosky Merritt. In this format, I don't know if he was very heavily started, because you only start sort of 3, maybe 4 max rookies. But yeah, he's only 2.3% owned. But yeah, he looks like he's the number 1 guy, so he could make a lot of money as well. If you did start him, or you can trade to him maybe next week if there's an injury in there, might be an option.
Might be a nice downgrade target. And Travis Kelce's our other winner And it's funny to say winner when he's only winning because he took out his own teammate, which means more ball for him. But he's definitely one that you're going to want to target moving forward, given that, geez, they haven't got much to throw at in that offense at Kansas City. So, yeah, wheels up Kelsey, you reckon, D-Fab?
Yeah, I think that the big thing, especially with tight ends now, as the primos kind of drop off, touchdown upside is going to be the thing we look for. And barring the last year and a half for Kelsey, where he's kind of had a bit of regression there, he was a damn near lock for double-digit touchdowns every year. So I think Kelsey, with the fact that they need so much help scoring at the moment, Kelsey's going to be getting those red zone touches. He's going to be getting all the targets. They're going to have specific plays set up for him. And his upside's huge. He doesn't need 15 targets to be impactful. You give him the 4 or 5 targets, he drags in 2 touchdowns, and he's going to win you a week. So, yeah, I like Travis.
We speak about hot guys. Let's talk about those that weren't so hot. And it's easy to pick on quarterbacks in round 1, but Secko, Joe Burrow, and Bo Nix were probably 2 of the more underperforming QBs in round 1 alongside Cam Ward.
Yeah, massively. I mean, not like the race trading of Joe Burrow has also happened already, but you can't. Like, it's notoriously slow starters. Even I was shocked at how slow. I think he had only 130 odd passing yards and 17 points in this format is horrendous. But yeah, he's got you. If you picked him because he has the ability to throw 50 plus touchdowns and throw three plus every week. And so just stick with him. Cash is irrelevant. If you started him, just stick with him. Don't worry that he's break even 72, which is obviously
just stay the course.
Monumental. Just forget that he's break evens. That it's a trap a lot of players get into, as they go, oh, he's going to lose a lot of cash. When are you going to trade him? Like, at his buy, you can flip him to JJ or whoever's in there at the time, whatever. Right? So just forget that. If you picked him, stick with him. If he looks rubbish again next week, then you can consider it. Nix, on the other hand, I'm a little bit more worried about. He looked pretty bad. The defense, the Tennessee defense,
ordinary, didn't he? Yeah.
And the Tennessee defense isn't great, right? So, like, he just missed a lot of throws. He looked off time. He looked rattled. But having said that, that did the exact same last year. He looked bad. Yes, he was a rookie. He looked bad for the first 6 weeks, really, and then he became a top 10 quarterback. So you're obviously holding, but again, it's a bit of a theme this week. We get a whole another week of data. We get twice as much data as we have right now to make our decisions before prices change. So I strongly urge, unless there's an injury and a major injury, just hold fat, see what happens. You don't lose anything. You might gain 3 or 4 points by making a trade, but also you might trade into a guy who gets injured. So hold fat where you can.
Absolutely. Now, these guys that I'm about to bring up, D-Fab, they might be losers in round 1, but all of these guys, if you've got them, you're holding on to them. And it's Jahmyr Gibbs, Pacheco, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, and Mark Andrews. They're all proven performers in fantasy in years gone by. We know their upside. They had a pretty ordinary round 1, but you're not rage trading them, are you? Nah,
so Gibbs and Jamar and Nico, definitely not. So I feel for the 62% of blokes that had 62% of ladies and gents that had Jamar Chase in their squad. I feel bad for the quarter of teams that had Jahmyr Gibbs and the 1 in 5 that had Nico. They're primos, they're going to bounce back. We know that NFL is hyper volatile. There's sometimes you just have an off day, and the difficulty is that if you have an off day, it feels like a month between them having good performances. So just stick fat, as Secko kind of alluded to before. They're going to come good. If he starts stringing 3-4 in a row, that's when you start to hit the panic button. That being said, though, Pacheco and Mark Andrews, I'm a little bit more tentative on. Mark Andrews was a real worry for me. He had 1 target, was in the first drive of the game and did or maybe it was the last drive of the game. It was like it was essentially bookending the game and did nothing for the rest of the game. He looks like he's lost his burst. He's still talented, but he looks like he's starting to get towards the end of his tether, which is a bit of a worry. Pacheco, I'm nowhere near as worried about, but I'm not filled with confidence right now with the Chiefs' offense system as a whole. I feel like they're going to have to throw a lot more. Pacheco's not the receiving back. So I think his ceiling's kind of capped. So those two I'm a little bit worried about. I wouldn't say I'm rush trading or rage trading with them, but I'm really taking note of what happens next week. The other guys, though, stick fat. Don't even look at their name again. Just wait till next week because they're going to put up great scores and you'll feel fine.
For sure. Now, I did say we'll get into some questions before we get into the games, and we feel very privileged to have our American brothers in the comments with us tonight. So I know that it's 3 a.m. over there. So we'll get to them. Maverick reckons that it's a massive downgrade that I'm in his chair. How does Lick My Stone sound? Blue Ballers, legends. Thanks to your knowledge, had a good score. Let's go. Good man.
Love
Benny
to
G.
see it.
Gee, that horse fellow is good looking. Any relation to Fabio? Yeah, he's my more ugly twin brother. RGQ. Wondering if I should drop Cooper Cup for Keenan Allen. D-Fab, I'll throw that one to you.
Yeah, in both formats, whether it be traditional fantasy or Supercoach, I'm dropping Cooper Cup yesterday. I think it's similar to what I just said about Mark Andrews. I think he's lost it. Doesn't have really any burst. He's still a smart footballer, but Keenan Allen has got chemistry. He's got tenure and still has some explosivity. So yes, a million times yes.
Yep. Secko, for you, start Hampton or Igbuka in the flex from Tyrannosaurus Johnson or Tyrannosaurus Johnson. Sorry.
Yeah, Tyrannosaurus Johnson. It's a cool name.
Yeah.
If this is a super coach question, which it should be because we're talking super coach prominently, I would say neither. Put a quarterback in there, but assuming this is just a standard fantasy league, I will go with Igbuka in PPR leagues and Hampton if you're playing the old school non PPR standard format.
Mm-hmm. Good, Charles. Sorry,
but no flex for super coach. Just chuck another quarterback in there. They're worth gold.
Hello, gents. Thought on trading out Nico Collins. I didn't like Stroud in this game, and I'm concerned that Collins will be affected. You know what? I know these guys are the professionals, but I really didn't like Stroud's game either. So it's more of a luxury move right now, Charles, if you're going to move him on. But if you really want to do it now and move off him into someone else before the price rise, I'd do that. Fat Luna, D-Fab. Should I sell Javonte Williams or hold him? Good question.
Yeah, get rid of him. I think this is a flash in the pan. I think if, to anyone that watched that game, Javon Carter losing his breakfast and spitting at Dak Prescott, one of the stupidest things I've ever seen done on a football field. He doesn't do that. Javonte doesn't blow up. Javon Carter is the linchpin to that entire run defense, and you could see it because they were running all over Philly. So, Javonte, if it's traditional, if I can get anything for him, I'm going to. Personally,
he might be able to get Mike Evans for him, he says.
Mike Evans is a tough one because I don't love Mike Evans, but I'm still taking Mike Evans 1,000 times over Javonte personally.
Yeah.
Javonte's
the
same.
So I'm with you, D-Fab. I don't love Mike Evans. I'm assuming this is not Dynasty. Even in Dynasty, I'd still do it. Mike Evans is literally at the end of his career. But, the only thing I'm saying is that you might get one more good week out of Javonte. So if you're on the fence about it, they're playing the Giants, who our mate Bill Krosky-Merritt just tore up a new one. So you may get one more week out of it. But you also may be getting a bit greedy there. I would just take Mike Evans and run. Hope the guy's not listening. Just take it. And assuming you have running back cover as well, and you're not leaving yourself with just nothing.
Our man, Peter Wern, how you doing, brother? What to do with Chase? Hold him. Don't need a professional to tell you that, my man.
Hold.
Pete, use a boost to trade Stroud, Chase, and Tyreek Hill for Nakua, Flowers, and Herbert. No, I would. I'm not sure about you boys, but I would absolutely hold tight if you could this week. I believe you lads did the maths, and it's if you were to trade every week, you'd get 1.4 trades per week till the end of the year. So if you can go weeks without trading, that's just going to put you in a better spot down the track.
This is the one locked in week where it's actually beneficial not to do trading because there's no price rises. You get double the amount of data to use to make a decision. You get more access to going to an injury, situational change, a unrelated injury. So if someone's quarterback goes down. Imagine if you trade into that scenario, whoever it was, can't remember who it was. Sorry, I'll trying to remember the name, but if you trade into Puka this week and Stafford got injured, you wouldn't want Puka at that price.
No.
If you, who was the one they traded out? Stroud for Flowers was in there. If Flowers returns to the way Flowers has been his entire career outside of one game, which was Buffalo pretty much mailing in defense, they were terrible, and it was just like Lamar knowing he had to score and score and score and score and score. If he turns back, the trade's terrible. So there's so many options, and boosting in the first week when there's no injuries involved, it's just a recipe for disaster. You're going to have no trades left at week 8, and buyers are going to come, and you're going to be left with nothing.
For sure.
So,
one more before we get into the game previews, lads. Any news on Judkins? I just picked him up and dropped Caleb Johnson. I'm also stashing Godwin.
Great decision.
I believe he's signed a multi-year deal and he started training now. I'm not sure how many weeks away he is, though, D-Fab. He'll practice tomorrow?
He'll practice tomorrow. Wouldn't surprise me if he plays this week, to be honest. The good thing with running backs is you can say, this is an inside zone, this is an outside pop, and they're going to know roughly what to do. And guys as talented as Quinshon Judkins can just read the blocks and kind of still make plays. Something to remember is that Quinshon Judkins was on the same level as O'Marion Hampton coming into the draft. That's the kind of level of player he is. So knowing he's that talented, if you've been able to pick him up, hold him. I wouldn't start him this week in Supercoach or any format, but hold him. That's a great pickup. Caleb's going to take a long time to come on. You might be able to pick him back up in 6 weeks for nothing off waivers. So, great move.
Yeah, the only thing I want to say is it's a great pickup because, I mean, Caleb Johnson, whether you agree or not, he's not going to be worked into this offense anytime soon, whereas Judkins will be. The only thing is there's a meeting, I believe, tomorrow with the NFL and Cleveland on whether he's going to go on the exempt list, so the commission's exempt list, which means he'll be out for a period of time until it's resolved. And it's essentially a suspension. It's the same as so he may still be out for 2 or 3 weeks, but on that list he can still practice. So Steve Fab's point, he'll know the system well enough just by knowing what their zone is or what their system is. He'd be able to train. So when he does come in, he should be really good and straight away the lead back for Cleveland, probably not anything to write home about, but it's still a lead back in the NFL. So
100%.
Great pickup. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into game talk.
Let's preview the games for the week ahead. It's time for game talk.
Let's start with Thursday night, fellas. I'll start with you, D-Fab.
Yes.
This one might be a bit of a cracker too. Washington versus Green Bay on Thursday night footy.
Yeah, it reads to be. It might feel like a gross one for people that have watched footy for a few years, but Washington are a great offense, and I think Green Bay are a smoky to go to the Super Bowl this year. They are super well balanced, and Jordan Love is. I liked what I saw week 1. I'm a big fan, and Bill. That's enough. I just want to see Bill keep playing. So, yeah, I think that'll be a fun game to watch and is going to be relatively high scoring. I'm not sure what the over-under is. I have to check that. But, I think that'll be a fun one.
Secko, how do you see the wide receiver split between Deebo Samuel, who looked really good in round 1, and Scary Terry? So we know that Scary Terry was holding out for a little bit of training camp, got his deal, looked a little bit slow last week. If you've got Deebo, would you be looking to move off him, or do you think his role looks fairly solid?
Nah, his role's great. He's so remember that Terry held out the entire preseason. So when that happens, traditionally they always start slow. No one's ever come out of the gates after a holdout and hit the ground running. Even CeeDee Lamb last year off the holdout, first 4 weeks, I think he wasn't even a wide receiver 2. So they all do it. Deebo has taken that opportunity and ran with it. The only problem is he still looks a little bit chunky. That jet sweep touchdown run, it looked like he was a fullback or even worse.
He has to work hard for
him.
Worked hard and had to get around the corner. Whereas Deebo 3 years ago in his overall wide receiver 2 year, he would have just blitzed it. So he definitely is carrying a few. But look, they can both coexist. They can both be ownable. In this format, depending on the pricing, Deebo is a great option if you're downgrading somewhere. Yeah, if you got Worthy and someone else who's injured, can't think who it is. If London's confirmed for out for 3 weeks or something. Yeah, if he's out for 3 weeks and you've got Worthy and you need to do something, Deebo at 10.5 mil, whatever he is, great option.
Mm-hmm.
Terry, not so much, but he will be a good player later on the season, potentially.
Yep. for sure. And Green Bay as well. You got Jordan Love at QB, looked really good last week. Josh Jacobs in the league back position as well. But that wide receiving core at Green Bay looks fairly shared around, doesn't it? It was a bit of Romeo Dubes downfield making the big splash plays, but everyone was getting a piece of the pie, D-Fab.
Yeah, and that's pretty standard. That's kind of the way the Packers have looked the last couple of years, which is why it's really hard to rely on a wide receiver or a receiver in general from the Packers. It's why I was a little bit tentative to get on the Golden train, like everyone else was kind of, banging the table for. And, he kind of showed, granted he got hurt, but, he only had 2 targets despite, 67, 68% snaps, which is pretty solid for a rookie in their first game. So I temper my expectations for receivers in the Green Bay offense. Their success is kind of predicated on sharing the ball around and having even distribution across all their pass catches because it spreads their defense, makes it a lot harder to play against.
Yep. Washington at home are pretty hard to beat, Secko, but who's your tip in this one?
Oh, it's at Green Bay.
It's at Green Bay. Sorry.
Yeah, so they're Washington at Green Bay. I'm with D-Fab. Look, they're 4th favourite to win the Super Bowl, Green Bay. Yeah. So they were a smoky, a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Before the Parsons trade, yeah.
Before the Parsons trade. I still liked them before that. They have, and D-Fab sort of touched on it, they have that good mix of, they haven't got any studs, which sucks, but on offense, they've got a bunch of guys who can all make plays. I'm a massive Tucker Craft fan. They actually gave Christian Watson a $30 million extension, even though he's out for probably the next 10 weeks, which is weird. But when he comes back, they've got a lot of different guys that can make plays and golden. So, look, Green Bay's going to win. They're going to win. I think they're going to win comfortably. And I love Washington. I love Daniels, but I just think they're going to just keep trucking. Big watch on them.
We go to Sunday, and the Browns are playing at Baltimore. Yeah, well, Sunday 1 p.m. in America. It's about 3 a.m. here in Australia. Baltimore D-Fab. If they put up anything like last week against the Bills, Cleveland don't have the offensive firepower to go with them.
No, they don't. And they don't have the defense to slow it down either. Baltimore are, as much as I've just talked up the Packers, Baltimore are the most well-balanced team in the NFL. They are elite defensively. They are elite offensively. They have, I know Zay Flowers had just had a career day, but they are one of the most prolific rushing offenses that we have ever seen in the NFL. Mm-hmm. That two-man punch of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry it's like hustle and flow. It doesn't matter what you do. No one has been able to figure them out. And they're just way too explosive. The line at the moment is 11.5 with an over-under of 45.5. Like, they are going to absolutely smoke, and I think they're going to kind of chokehold the Browns. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a blowout. If this was a 3-touchdown game by the time it was all said and done, I think they're going to come out pretty motivated too after essentially choking away a primetime win.
It wasn't an essential choke. It was a choke. Yeah.
Like, they had no business losing that game, and they just took the foot off the pedal. So I think they're going to come out with something to prove, and they're kind of going to put the Browns to the sword.
I would think so. Cleveland, Secko. I mean, we can talk Joe Flacco, but he's like 300 years old. We can talk about their wide receiving corps, but I think the most interesting prospect for Cleveland right now is Harold Fannin Jr.
Yes, HFJ. I'm sure I said it on one of the pods in the preseason, but he was my smoky this year for a tight end one, because he doesn't play as a tight end either, which is the interesting part. He's a big slot. So they've got Judy. Judy's not much. Tillman, a bit better, but not much. This guy's the guy who's going to get. I can't remember I looked him up before. His stats were unbelievable.
He's a record breaker.
Most amount of front-end catches in college footy.
It's like 174 targets in college. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I had him somewhere. I think I wrote him down on a different thing, but 100%. That's him, and it's not a shock that he's come in and had an instant role. He's definitely the playmaker. He had 9 targets. He's a great option in Supercoach. If you wanted to go down, if you started Colston Loveland, for example, I've had this massive thing about not trading week 1. If you started Colston Loveland, get him out, put Fannin in.
100%.
Loveland had less than 50% snap share, and his routes run were 12 less than Cole Kmet, in a team that already shares between Zacchaeus and Burden and Moore and and Bajunze. So he's number 6, like in pecking order. So yeah, Fannin, if you can get him in normal formats, 100%. It's probably too late. Waves of run, you missed him. I missed him by like a couple of dollars in a couple of spots, and got him in one. But yeah, he's the talk of the town, and with good reason, because Flacco can find these big slot dudes.
Looks really good. Next game, Jacksonville are on their way to Cincinnati, where, again, I think it'll be a bounce-back game for Cincinnati. They looked a bit sloppy last week against Cleveland, D-Fab. We've got the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins show. And I didn't mind the play of Noah Fant at tight end. What do you reckon?
Yeah, Cincinnati have historically started pretty slow the last 2-3 years at least. This is going to be a really, really solid football game for fantasy football in any format, whether it be traditional fantasy or Supercoach. It's an over and under. It's an over under of 49.5 at the moment. Both the bottom 5 defenses in the NFL. Cincy, we know when they're firing, are a top 5 offense in the NFL, and Jacksonville under Liam Cohen look like they're a little bit more high octane than they were last year. I think after this Tank Bigsby trade, I think he sees his new Bucky Irving in Travis Etienne. So I'm going to be really bullish on watching this game. I think it's going to be a good, fun game. I'd be smashing the overs if I was betting on it, and starting everyone, whether it be BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr. to bounce back, Travis Hunter sitting in your emergency on Supercoach. He looks to have a big game. Chase Brown, I can see that at the moment on Supercoach, he is the is it the 4th or the 5th most traded out player in Supercoach at the moment. I would not be trading him out. This is the one where you hold, and he is going to have a smash game against Jacksonville, who are just, at best, below average on defense.
About that Tank Bigsby trade, Secko, who is the Jacksonville running back number 2 now? Is it Tootin?
It's Tootin. So they obviously, I think Liam Cohen gave it a bit of time to assess it. I think he knew before the preseason was up that it was going to be Etienne, and Tootin was his number 2, and shopped him. But he put Bigsby out in that first preseason game to try and showcase him a bit. He actually went right, and Philly did snap him up. But yeah, Tootin, Tootin could be a good downgrade option. He had a quiet first week in Supercoach. Just trying to look up his numbers, but I don't think he did a lot because Bigsby was still there. I think he had 3 or 4 carries. He had 2 points. So he's actually going to drop some cash probably. I'm not sure if I don't think 3.7 is the minimum. I think 3.6 is. So he might be somebody you can snap up in a couple of weeks. If something happened to Etienne, he might actually be a really good downgrade option when we're looking to cash in 6-7 weeks. But we'll see what happens. It was funny, Jacksonville, if anyone saw it, Liam Cohen pretty much throwing Trevor Lawrence under the bus in his press conference when he was talking through all the BTJ missed throws. If you haven't seen it, go jump on YouTube and look up Liam Cohen, no H, Coen, press conference. He just literally goes, first drive, short. Next one, missed him. Next one, too far out. Like, he just pretty much shit can. So it's going to be a bumpy ride in Jacksonville with Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence, but they've got no one to move to. So it's Trevor staying, and hopefully he can.
It's a breath of fresh air, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's honesty, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. Yeah.
Next game, we've got the New York Giants at Dallas, Sunday, 1 p.m., 3 a.m. here in Australia. D-Fab, I know we didn't do much in round 1, but fuck me, I am a Scatterbo fan.
Not while Russell Wilson's under center. He is so gross. Give me Jameis, give me Jackson Dart, give me death before I want Russell Wilson. And I think everyone on the Giants offense is capped while he's still throwing the ball around. This will be a really good get-right game for the Cowboys. As Secko kind of mentioned before, Javonte probably still impactful somewhat this week. CD Lamb, I can see him going nuclear. And Dak Prescott, I know I talked a lot about having Dak Prescott as my QB2 at his price point in Supercoach, and he had a really, really average game. I can see a world where he pops off and has, like a 30, 35, 40-point Supercoach day, because the Giants' defense is anemic. So I think it's a really, really solid get-right game, and CD, Pickens, Ferguson, if you needed a tight end at a pinch at a low price point, all of them. I want all of them.
Wicked. Love it. Anyone else from Dallas you'd like to talk about, Secko?
George Pickens. I want to pick out George Pickens. He's actually 5% owned in Supercoach, which I thought was a bit high when I looked at it. He had a nightmare. Like, it was but I mean, he goes as Dak goes, I think, in this offense, and I expect D-Fab said it somewhat. These guys are going to feast. They're at home. They were embarrassed. They went scoreless in the second half last week. They're going to come out big, and I think everybody could be fantasy relevant in this game for Dallas, or it could go the other way and they lose at home to the Giants. But I doubt it's going to happen. And look, Russell Wilson probably only has a handful of games left. Brian Daboll in his presser he was hesitant to sort of commit. He didn't commit to Russell Wilson on the Sunday. He came out Monday and said, "Yeah, he's our guy." But you could literally see in his face that he was gritting teeth saying it. So Jackson Dart will be here sooner rather than later. Don't worry about
just a matter of time.
Matter of time. So yeah, watch this game until it's sort of a 3-score game, and hopefully it's a touchdown to the guys you own. But Lamb's going to be huge for Supercoach.
Chicago at Detroit this week. So Chicago looked really good for about 2 3/4 quarters, D-Fab, against McCarthy and the Vikings, and then shit the bed. Detroit were really, really poor last week against Green Bay. Which team are you picking to bounce back this week?
I mean, if I was betting on it, I'd be taking Chicago at the line.
Really?
The line's 5.5. Yeah, the line's 5.5 at the moment. I'm a little bit. I think it's a little bit tenuous at Detroit at the moment. Just teething issues of having a new offensive coordinator. Ben Johnson was particularly prolific, and I don't even know the bloke's name who's in there now.
He's coaching Chicago now, isn't he?
He is.
John Morton.
John Morton, there you go. Yeah, so Ben Johnson kind of coming back to Detroit. I think he's going to throw every possible trick that he's got and he's up his sleeve. I think Chicago, they're not going to let it slip like they did last year. I was really bolstered by the performance of the O-line at Chicago as well. There was a lot of talk about them in the off-season, and I didn't see Caleb Williams running for his life all day last week, which was a kind of nice improvement. So, look, I don't think it's going to be a particularly great game for fantasy because both teams kind of have a halfway decent defense. And I think Detroit's going to rely on their defense a lot this year. I don't expect massive scores from your fantasy contributors, but it should be there'll be a bit of feeling in it. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Secko, are we expecting bounce back games from Jahmyr Gibbs? Montgomery, he's always been pretty consistent as RB2 there at Detroit, but your Jamison Williams and your Amon-Ra St. Brown. Is there bounce back games here for those guys, or do you think they're going to struggle again in week 2?
Yeah, there's so many fantasy relevant dudes on that team, and it sucks when they go poorly. So I'm with D-Fab. I'm actually quite concerned. There's a chance. It's not a great chance, but there's a chance that they're just a team that struggles to score 20 points a week. There was a stat I saw. Jared Goff, when he's not coached by Sean McVay or Ben Johnson as his offensive coordinator, it's like 3-52 or something. He's just been pretty much pathetic without very, very sharp offensive minds guiding him. So, look, I'm with D-Fab. Obviously, Patrick Gamble responsibly, but Chicago on the road, that line may even push out because the money sort of is weighing on the Detroit side. But I think they've just got they were beaten because they're on the road against a team they can't beat in Minnesota, and it's just sometimes you just don't beat teams. I don't know why. It happens in the NFL every single year. This is a different situation with Ben Johnson now at the helm against his old team. This is the kind of game where they do win or get very close and make it a one-score game. So, to your question though, look, Gibbs, I'm not worried about at home. That's the kind of situation. He still scored okay. He had a bad day, but he got a lot of catches. He got dump offs. That's why you pick him high, pick him in Supercoach. That's why you draft him high, is because you got that safety. Any sort of PPR format, you got that safety valve of him having probably minimum 5 catches every week and maybe 8. So he gets those bonus points there. Montgomery will probably fall in the end zone. He's the kind of guy who can do that. And then it's the pass catches. And I don't know. I don't know that Chicago will probably get some defensive pieces back as well. So either one of Jameson or Amon-Ra will probably go well. Probably not both. So I'm a bit worried.
San Fran, our next game without Kittle, without Brock Purdy, against a team that I'd tell you that have good players out, but I don't think they've got any good players. It's New Orleans. D-Fab, is it CMC time? They're round 2, San Francisco. I'm not saying put your mortgage on it, but geez, he's going to see a lot of ball.
Oh, yeah, he'll be the RB1 this week. New Orleans don't really have anything defensively that's going to be able to stop him. CMC will have a day out, touch wood, health permitting, because that's the only thing that really stands in his way at the moment if he can't get right. If that calf that we were talking about going into last week pops up again and he misses an injury report, he misses a practice with being on the injury report, it's going to feel gross, but as long as he's playing, you start him, and he's gonna be a smash play. I am pretty interested to see on the other side of the ball though, Juwan Johnson, the tight end from
I like him.
The Saints. He was a wide receiver in college that got turned into a tight end just by the fact that he's so large, like 6'5", 240, I think. He's a big human being. Yeah, 6'4", 230. So like he's a big human being, and that's the only reason why. So he's kind of akin to Jimmy Graham back when he was at the Saints, 8-9 years ago. And I'm really keen to see if that's a flash in the pan or if Kellen Moore's really going to start building around him, because what was it, 9 targets he had, Secko? 11 targets for 8 catches. Like he had so much ball. It's clear that with everything else going on, he looks like, at least right now, he's the safety blanket for Spencer Rattler. So I don't mind him, and I'm depending on how he looks this week, he might be a guy that I'll flip out Kittle next week, knowing that he's on AR. He's going to sit on my bench this week. I may look at flipping out Kittle and bringing in someone on a low cost, like a Juwan Johnson before the price rise, because if he can get anything close to what he had this last week in week 1, he'll make people some big money.
Yeah, won't he?
It's a great shout.
Let's go.
So I'll just touch on that. He's not sorry, mate. He's not someone that you really think of ever as being that kind of guy who's ownable in Supercoach or any format really. But yeah, like he's going to have a massive low break even next week if he does the same thing again. And it's definitely someone who should be on your radar to pick up next week.
Yep, for sure. Let's go to New England, and the Drake May show rolls into Miami, who for me were probably the most disappointing team, Secko, in round 1. They looked bloody ordinary against Indianapolis. How do you see this bounce back at home going? Is Tua really that bad? Tyreek Hill, is he on the way out, or what's going on there?
Yeah, they were clearly the worst team. New England were much better, to be honest. They played at home against Vegas and looked pathetic. Drake May, we were all big on. No one bigger than Mull. Who I think might have actually started him in Supercoach, and I think you did as well, D-Fab, actually. And he just looked like he just had no answers, and you as well, Horse. So in Miami, look, they're the ones on the hot seat. Miami, they have to show something. I'm not sure if Tyreek is going to be the guy he has been forever. He's going to be traded. Take that to the bank. He's not going to be in Miami in a month's time. And then it's about whether Waddle can do it. And we all know Tua's the easiest fodder for jokes, but he's just, I don't know. He doesn't look like the same guy. So I won't be watching this game. It's going to be pretty gross, except for Travion.
What's happened with Tua, D-Fab?
I think he might be sounds like a bad pun, but I think he might be in his head a little bit. Like he's been hit that many times, and like with his concussions, I think anyone that's played any kind of sport, that when you get hurt, it does play on your mind, and I think he's got the yips a bit. So he needs some work. In all honesty, with this game, what I'm more worried about is their defense. Miami were so bad, their secondary looked so bad. They let Daniel Jones, who was, for all things considered, out of the league basically, and was in a QB camp battle with Anthony Richardson, who had statistically the worst passer rating of almost all time last year. Only just got the starter at the very last moment, and he let him put up a 5th overall QB run, right? So, I think I'm starting Pittman. I know a couple of people have Pittman. I know a lot of people have Warren. Start them all. I'm not worried about it.
Beautiful. Love it. Buffalo, they're on their way to the Jets. This might actually be a bit of a cracker, given that Buffalo's antics last week to come back from the dead against the Ravens. And then the Jets with Justin Fields under center, Secko, they put up 35 points and looked pretty, like 32 points. Sorry, they lost.
Yeah,
but
they lost.
It's not the Jets of old. They actually look pretty energetic and up and about on offense.
Yeah, and you know what's the funny part about it is they got the backup to Ben Johnson at Detroit last year, the passing game coordinator. Can't remember his name. It's irrelevant. He went there as the offensive coordinator Aaron Glenn was the defense coordinator, went to head coach Jets, and they looked like a Ben Johnson coached team, which makes me think, why didn't Detroit just promote the guy who had worked under Ben Johnson for years? But anyway, they've changed, made Justin Fields look like a decent quarterback again. I'm all in. I can until they're shit again next week or this week. I'm all in on the Jets. But Buffalo after last week, that momentum they can build from that. Another divisional game or a divisional game, they'll probably just roll. Anyone
you're looking out for here, D-Fab?
Not particularly. I'm not as bullish on the Jets, but I think it'll be a fun game. Josh Allen start. He's probably going to take my captain's armband again, to be honest. Don't change what don't need change, and I don't think the Jets are a lockdown defense by any means. So, it's kind of status quo for me.
Love it. Let's go and talk about Seattle and what I didn't like at QB there in Sam Darnold versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. At Pittsburgh, one of the remaining 3 a.m. games. Secko, Seattle outside of Jackson Smith-Njigba looked pretty ordinary on offense.
Very. Very, but we knew that. We knew that going in. So, and if we didn't know that going in, we should have. The offense is going to run through. What the biggest shout out is Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker's an afterthought almost already after week one. Charbonnet's taken over, but essentially there's no Cooper Kupp. Torrey Horton, who was a massive groundswell in the preseason, don't think he got a target. Who did get their targets? There was only 23.
JSN.
There wasn't many of them. JSN
he had 52% of the target share.
Well, even more, 13 over 23. What's that? Is that 57?
57.
Arroyo got 1, Kupp got 3, Barner got 2. So literally it was just Kupp, 2 tight ends, and Kenneth Walker. And they almost pitched the game against San Fran. So, I mean, they were in it for the whole game. Yes, they were without Kittle and a few others. But, it's not going to look pretty. Pittsburgh across country is probably not the place to get right either. So, JSN's still going to be hyper targeted, but are they good targets? And I'm a big JSN guy, as everyone knows, but I'm a bit concerned until they have some small cupcake matchups than Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh.
In the land of the terrible towels, D-Fab. Pittsburgh.
I like Pittsburgh. I want to very quickly say, just on Seattle, just exercise patience. They only had 50 offensive snaps, so it was just a weird game. Game script got him. So just temper expectations. I wanted to rage trade Kenneth Walker. I've got a lot of stock in him, obviously in Supercoach, but in traditional fantasy as well. Temper expectations. Temper expectations and exercise patience, because it's only one game. Let us get some real information.
Yes, Dad.
Pittsburgh, I don't. Exactly right. I don't think how Pittsburgh were last week is sustainable. Throwing 22 times for 4 touchdowns with A-Rod. I don't think that is. 22 catches for 4 touchdowns isn't going to continue happening. But I did like a lot of what I saw from DK Metcalf and Jonnu Smith. Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the ball around, and their defense looks great. They've got a bunch of Hall of Famers on the other side of the ball. So, I like Pittsburgh. And if you did have DK Metcalf in your super coach, I think he's someone you can keep in there pretty confidently.
Yep. Let's talk about the Rams, Secko. They're on their way to Tennessee to take on Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. Matt Stafford back under center, looked pretty good. Didn't look like that back was really giving him many issues, but Puka looked awesome, didn't he?
He did, and I think I said that on Monday as well. They're a three-man offense. It's all concentrated to Puka, Kyron, and Devontae, which we love for fantasy. We love for Supercoach. If you haven't got Puka and you need to make a change, again, if London's out and you've got Worthy, and you could do a lot worse than Puka. He's got probably the safest floor of almost anyone. I would have said Chase. I would have said Nico a week ago. And even JJ only got points late when things got really, really happening in Minnesota. So Puka's the kind of guy who doesn't need touchdowns to score well in Supercoach and other fantasy formats. If he does jump, fall into the end zone, it goes nuclear. So, I'm a Rams guy. I'm about to be 2-0 this week, which is great. But yeah, three-man offenses are what you want in fantasy, and roll on Rams with that.
Yeah. Ridley, is he still the man at Tennessee and people targeting him, D-Fab, or do you think we can give that a pass?
Nah, he is. They look like, I know there's a lot of reports about Ward and Ridley looking out of sync and all that kind of stuff. They went against the number one defense, or the number one pass defense last year in Denver, who got even stronger in the offseason. And they're going against the Rams, who I think are a sneaky top 5 defense as well this year. They look really, really strong. Following the first 2 rounds, they've got the Colts, who we'll kind of find out this week if it was that their defense is good or if Miami's offense was just really that bad. Then after that, Houston, not great. Arizona, Vegas, Pats, Colts again, Chargers. Like they're going to come good. So again, the general theme of tonight is going to be exercise patience, especially it's 1 week, it's 1 game. So I'm not particularly worried about Ridley. Still got 8 targets in a pretty negative game script where they were promoted to try to rush. So, yeah, I'm not too worried. I'm keeping him in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Carolina and Bryce Young versus the Arizona Cardinals, who I'm actually a bit of a fan of. I like the way they go about it out there in the desert. Secko, another dub for the Cardinals here against... I just can't get around Bryce Young at quarterback.
Yeah, I'm a big Bryce Young guy. Like only because those last third of the season last year, he actually when he got his job back, and he'd been made to earn it by Canales and had to watch Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
Board for Andy Dalton, which no one wants to ever have to do when Andy Dalton's 38. And look at those stupid orange eyebrows of his. Once he got that job back, he just showed he could actually play football, right? So, and he got Terrell McMillan, and they got some pieces there to make it work. The issue is he's still not that good. I'm a big Terrell guy. Keep him in your super coach. He'll keep making money. He had pretty much a bad game. He's a rookie. It's his first game ever. We forget that these guys have never played a real speed game against men, the best of the best, before. So any rookie that didn't kick ass in week 1 can be given a very, very clear pass. But keep him in your super coach. If you've got him in your standard fantasy leagues, start him with confidence. Arizona's not a good defense. We saw the Saints actually look competent last week against them. So, it's good. This could be a sneaky good game for fantasy. So if
you've got Kate Otten, D-Fab, what are you doing with him? Because last week, did he get targeted at all?
It's Tampa.
Kate Otten's.
Yeah, he's Tampa Bay, isn't he? Sorry.
Yeah, so he wouldn't have been targeted in the Arizona game, but we're close.
No, he wouldn't have been. No, I've got my team.
But speaking of the tight ends, you're on the right track. Trey McBride, he's probably your sole primo that I think you could really trade out if you were one of the unlucky guys that had Kittle and Bowers. Trey McBride's the guy I'm chasing. Kind of alluding to what Secko mentioned before about Puka. Trey McBride is a target hog. He had 106 targets in 2023, 147 for 111 catches last year. Kyler Murray still found him, or still looked to him 9 times, despite the fact that from all accounts he was like water from both ends last week. Kyler Murray, he was not well at all and was still able to support a good game for Trey McBride. So, yeah, if you've got a primo or 2 primos that have fallen out due to injury this week, he's the guy I'm chasing. And he's a set and forget. Just put him in there, leave him.
Sure. Broncos country, Denver Broncos versus
My boys.
probably the team that was the most impressive last week, or one of the most impressive teams, sorry, and they smacked Miami. It's the Indianapolis Colts and Danny Dimes, Secko. Is he the MVP favourite?
Yeah, has to be. Remember Josh Allen? Remember Josh Allen did what he did?
No.
Anyway, it's a good little story, but he had 270 yards and 1 touchdown as a quarterback, right? So look, luckily he trotted a couple in on the ground. Yeah, look, they were great. I think we know a little bit more about Miami than we know about Indianapolis.
I think so.
They're playing the best defense. We'll know exactly where they're at. I don't think you should be considering Daniel Jones a viable anything. To be honest, if you've got any Colts players, I'm not confident starting them. I know they're at home, but Denver's legit. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's the only guy, if he's in your super coach team, ride with it. Because I think they're going to have to depend on him. It's the only real place they are a little bit fallible. He's on the ground with a really well-designed run game, and Jonathan Taylor has that ability to make one guy miss and then make the rest of the guys hurt. So they have to go through the ground, and he's the only option in any fantasy format.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I respectfully, I disagree. So being the Denver sicko at the moment, what I do know about Denver is that we the Broncos blitzed almost 40% last season, which means we're gonna take. I think the Broncos will take away most of Jonathan Taylor's running lanes. I think Daniel Jones has a little bit of upside purely for the fact that Denver led the league last year in sacks, so he's going to have to break outside the pocket. He's going to have to use his legs. But the guy I really like from Indianapolis this week is Tyler Warren. The guy that's going to get those little dinky dump offs just outside the line. That guy that's going to get in between the hashes. He's got some really, really big value, and I think he was, outside of Coulson Loveland, the only guy that people were really putting on their benches. So if you do have a primo and you've got Tyler Warren in your emergency or on your bench, I'd be playing him, and with relative confidence this week. I think he's going to get anywhere from 6 to 12 targets this week, so I think he's going to have the opportunity to be good. On the Denver side, I think we're going to get a get right game too. I think Bo Nix does a lot better than the 14 or 15 he had this last week. Still shy away from the running backs because J.K. Dobbins and RJ Harvey, it's going to be this weird committee until RJ gets the ascendancy, so let him sit on your bench. RJ doesn't have the job yet, but Cortland Sutton will continue to be great.
Absolutely. One of the games of the week for me will be Philly versus the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. Secko, we've got Jalen Hurts, we've got Saquon Barkley, but we know that they're good. Let's talk about your Devontae Smiths of the world, who did next to not much last week. We're holding on to them, right?
Well, yes, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith both had, and they combined for about 30 yards. If you've started those guys in Supercoach and obviously in fantasy, you're holding on to them. It was 1 week. It was a bit weird. Jahan Dotson looked great, which is weird in itself to say because he's been not great for 3 straight years now. But I actually liked him as a guy coming out. He's a first round pick. But yeah, I think they're gonna have to throw a lot more. I think again, Dallas didn't really give them much. They pretty much controlled the game ever since that rain delay happened. They really didn't do a lot because they didn't have to do a lot because they knew that Dallas wasn't going to do anything. And this time's a bit different. I reckon in Kansas City they'll be playing from behind. I expect Hurts to throw a lot more. I expect Brown and Smith to have games, and you fire up your Eagles. Correct what I'm saying.
Love it. Kansas City side, they're down a few receivers.
Yeah.
D-Fab. Smith Schuster, is he worth a play? Hollywood Brown. Where are we looking at for the Pat Mahomes-led offense there?
In Supercoach, I'm probably staying away from him. I think they need to prove it before you look at burning a trade on him. Kelsey, I'm going to start with confidence because he's, I think, the most likely to be getting the looks in the passing game to score. And we know getting 12 points for every touchdown, that's the big upside. Like I alluded to at the start of the show, he doesn't need 15 targets to be impactful for fantasy. Give him 4 targets, they all be in the red zone, and he can still score big. he's probably the only pass catcher I'd want in my squad at the moment from Kansas City. Don't look at Hollywood Brown's, league leading 16 targets. That's devil's candy. Don't touch it. Don't bring him in. Let everyone else in your leagues or everyone else in the community take him. Let that sit. Stick with Kelsey, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. That's fine. But yeah, don't go chase the devil's candy. Even with Dallas Goedert too, he had 7 targets last week. They were all low value targets between the 20s. Nothing in the red zone. Stay away from it. Just stick with the kind of tried and proven guys like your Kelsey, Mahomes, Hurts, and if you need to, Barkley obviously, and if you need to, you can start Pacheco.
Beautiful. Let's talk Sunday night football, and we're talking about the Atlanta Falcons versus the Minnesota Vikings. JJ McCarthy, Secko, did sweet FA for 3 quarters, and then Chicago got tight on defense, and he went ballistic. Are we buying stock in JJ McCarthy, or is this a Chicago petered out late to make him look good type of scenario?
Look, there's probably definitely the latter involved in it. There was a number of backups or not a number of non-starters from Chicago's best defensive unit out there who may have lost a bit of juice later in the game. Having said that, it's one thing about JJ McCarthy. At every single level since he was bloody 13 years old, he's won football games. So I don't know. The NFL's different. Everybody in the NFL was good when they were a teenager, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have made it there. But this guy's lost 3 games since he was 13 years old in his life.
That's wild.
So it's a wild thing to say.
I've lost that many in a season before, let alone in my life.
Yeah, I've lost that in 3 straight weeks many a time. So he's lost 3 ever football matches when he's been the starting quarterback. So that's enough. And I found that out today, and I've got him in a few spots. I've got a couple of dynasty leagues. I've got him in some super flex spots. I've got him obviously on field as my flex in Supercoach. And he's just the kind of guy he's got Justin Jefferson in his back pocket. He's got probably, I would say, a top 3 offensive coach in the league guiding him. He's the kind of guy who will do what needs to be done to win football games. And if that means he has to score 3 touchdowns in the last quarter to do it, I feel like he's the kind of guy who's going to do it. So hitch your star to the wagon that is JJ McCarthy. I just feel like he's going to keep growing, and he's going to be something quite decent, and he has a rushing floor as well, which we love for fantasy. Let's
talk about the Atlanta Falcons, and the last time the Atlanta Falcons had a mobile, running, gunslinging quarterback, you could remove 1 letter of his surname, and you remove 1 letter of this quarterback's surname, and it would both replicate male genitalia. And I'm talking about Michael Vick and Michael Penix. How are we looking with Penix right now and the Kyle Pitts duo? They actually look not too bad the first round.
Geez, you are reaching for this content horse. I've gone at the back end of last year. I went and got Michael Penix in my 2 dynasty leagues, so I quite like him. I think he's got he had a lot of hype coming out of college and then got thrown to the Falcons, despite the fact they just paid Cousins this massive deal, and for some reason the shine kind of came off Penix, so people have kind of soured on him. But to quote my my esteemed co-host Mullen, Kyle Pitts, baby, I'm so in on him at the moment. Especially if Drake London's out, I want every bit of Kyle Pitts that I can. I was kind of bullish on him to start the year. We know that he's talented. He's just had a real fuck around the last 3-4 years. He was still the tight end 7 last year in traditional fantasy. Like he's not a complete this year he's the tight end 7 so far. He was tight end 15 last year. He's not a peanut by any means. He's a wide receiver that plays tight end. And if you need I think he's got the opportunity to really surprise some people over the next couple of weeks.
I like it. Darnell Mooney's still probably a week away as well. So
yeah,
someone else who doesn't have to worry about 4 touches. 2 games left, ladies and gentlemen, not far away. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're at Houston. And CJ Stroud, D-Fab, I'll start with you. he looks like he's really dropped off after that rookie season.
Yeah, he does. He was pretty average last year with 20 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. Like, he really kind of dropped off, wasn't as impactful with the ball. And, I mean, he's great at supporting Nico Collins and Tank Dell when he was in. But in terms of... He reminds me a little bit of what Trevor Lawrence kind of felt like at the start of his career. Like, he's a good... Don't get me wrong, he's a good QB. He's the kind of dude where if he was a free agent, there's someone that's going to pay him, right? He's a quality NFL QB, but he's not a superstar. He's not someone that I want in fantasy. Doesn't really have a rushing upside. Isn't so good as a passer that he's scoring 35, 40 touchdowns. So he's a real stay away from me. I don't really like him in any format, to be honest.
Who are we looking out for, Secko, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Ibuka.
I love him.
Yeah, he's
so
I
good.
mean,
Rookie of the year?
Taylor,
Offensive Rookie of the Year? Early call?
No. We're gonna pump the brakes a little bit. He had one really good pass thrown to him, and then the other one was a decent sort of route. He had 2 touchdowns. He won't do that every week. I think he only had 6 targets. So it's not against Atlanta as well last week, who are probably one of the worst secondaries in the league. So we just need to temper expectations. Like, he's not going to be, but he should be in. Obviously, he should be 100% on Super Coach as of end of next week, going to round 3 before he rises. He'll probably rise about, I think it's $5 million in one go if he has a half decent week this week. Outside of him, obviously we've got Bucky, who he looked okay. He looked good. He did the job. He had a touchdown, which made him look a lot better. He sort of just got through. Bit of a weird game for Tampa, really. Evans never really got hot, so and they haven't really got much else. So they're another team that's sort of targeted to guys at the moment until Godwin comes back. I expect, and Baker played well as well, but I think on the road to Houston aren't a great defense, but they're not crap either. Like, they can sort of
middle of the road.
Good defensive front. They've got the bad secondary, but good defensive front. So if they can put some pressure on Baker, it may disrupt them. But yeah, you can start your guys. You can start Evans. That trade before, I still can't get over. You can get Evans for Javonte Williams. You might get a guy who's playing football for 3 more weeks out of your team, and a guy who gets 1,000 yards for fun every year. But anyway, yeah, Evans, start him up. He gets targeted. They're going to keep pushing towards him. So. Tampa to beat Houston here, by the way.
Chargers in our last game, Monday Night Football against the Las Vegas Raiders. The late game as well. So if we're looking at looping Brock Bowers or someone like that, it's probably a bit late to be able to do it. But D-Fab, how do you see this one going? Is it going to be the Justin Herbert / Madison Beer show, or what are we doing here?
Wouldn't be mad if it was. I think it's important to throw it out there. Do not underestimate Geno Smith and the Raiders. Geno Smith has found a way to win football games, despite being constantly underrated. Like, yeah, when he was at the Jets, he was shit house, and then he kind of sat on the bench at Seattle. But by the time he got that job, he's just a great game manager that wins games, and he gets the ball around for fantasy. So I don't think this is just as open and closed as Chargers coming in after a big week 1 and they, put Vegas to the sword. That being said, if I went into Supercoach with 2 rookies, I tried to do a Drake May or a Cam Ward, or I tried to go discount and I wanted to make a pivot, Justin Herbert's probably the guy I'm chasing. He looks like an absolute world beater at the moment, and I think it's pretty clear that Jim Harbaugh, whichever bloody brother it is, he's kind of changed his philosophy a little bit of being this hyper run heavy play caller, and he's just in love with Justin Herbert and wants to put the ball in his hands and let him win games. And this is a bloke that's been the QB2 overall, the QB9 overall, with missing 2 games. Like, Justin Herbert is a dead set superstar. So if I can flip out someone and bring him in, that's a win.
Hampton, how do you think he went in his rookie game? We saw he made a mistake towards the back end of the first half where he ran out of bounds, which cost them a field goal. He'll learn from that, Secko, and be better this week.
Yeah, look, thankfully it didn't cost the team to win. Jim would have moved past it pretty quick given that they did hang on to, or they won. So, look, he wasn't great. I've watched it pretty close. I got a lot of Hampton this year, so I'm way too invested in this kid. More than any grown man should be invested in a young 20-something 20-something male. But I rewatched the game, and he just sort of looked to be first game jitters. We mentioned it earlier with rookies. Remember, it's their first game against men. Defensive linemen are probably the most men of all men, if you think about them when you're sort of running towards them. So I don't blame him second guessing, going for a hole. He'll get better for it. He'll have the back. He's got the backfield. Don't worry about Najee. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. This guy's going to have 70+%. And yeah, Vegas defense, if he can just get past Max Crosby, there's not much else to get around. And so I think if you've got Hampton, pump him and be prepared for Supercoach to make a fair bit of money off the back of a okay so week one.
I love it. Anything else you'd like to add, D-Fab?
Nah, that's
No.
no notes. No notes.
No notes.
No.
No notes.
No notes.
No notes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do us for our games. We'll get quickly into a couple of comments that we've got highlighted before we finish up for the evening. We've got Will LeGrand here. G'day, mate. Full PPR. Yada. Yeah, there's too much going on there. Tell us what's going on, mate.
That's his team. He's just bragging a bit. He's got Josh Allen and CMC there. He's got Dylan Sampson. I love as a pick because he's sort of Ben Stash and Jordan Mason as well. Wow, Evans, Higgins, Allen. So it's a good team. He should be right.
Yeah. A question for after week 2 start: 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, or wide receiver, 1 flex out of Adunze, Hollywood, Brown, Keenan Allen, Trey Benson, or Pacheco.
Let's go half PPR, D-Fab.
Yeah, this is going to be spicy. I'm starting Benson in my flex. Going against Carolina. They're pretty stinky, and I think Benson showed that he's by far the better runner. I've been banging the table for Trey Benson for years, so... Well, not really. He came into the league last year, or the year before. But
1 year.
Yeah, Trey Benson in my flex, and I'm probably taking, just very quickly checking the matchup, I'm probably taking Hollywood Brown. They're going to have to throw. So I'll put Hollywood Brown definitely in my wide receiver and take Benson in the flex.
Hollywood Rome for me.
Cheese man. Hey, mate. Nice to see you. Would you go Kittle to Fannin to go Chase Brown up to Derrick Henry then?
Feels like chasing points a little bit gone after Henry, but I don't mind Kittle to Fannin. I don't mind that at all. Like I said before, I'm probably holding Chase Brown for the next few weeks. So if there's something else I can do to, you can probably take those funds that you get from moving Kittle on to go towards a different primo and trade out a rookie or trade out someone else instead of Chase Brown. But I don't mind the start of that. Moving Kittle for Fannin feels like a good starting point.
For sure.
Yeah.
Jack Parsons, CMC an awesome C option this week. Absolutely.
Don't hate it.
Yeah, we'll get to see in another pod coming up this week. But it's good shout.
Fellas, I traded away James Cook for Knicks, and I'd say that's Kamara. I'm cooked, huh? Yep.
No. Let's go back to that for a second. No. If it's a full PPR league, Rattler's going to be just dumping to Kamara still. Like, Kamara hasn't lost it. He got a touchdown to give him a bit of a boost. But Knicks isn't a spud either, and Cook isn't going to be scoring every week. So it's not completely stuffed. He's not cooked. He lost the trade, but he can get absolutely obliterated. Assuming it's PPR.
Yep. Starting San Fran or Cards in SC this week, can't you? So I think he's talking defense.
And
I'd pick San Fran.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
They're playing New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Is 5 words or less Samson to start this week, lads?
Nah. Unless you're in a deep league.
Jack Parsons, Kittle to McBride seems an easy trade for me. Feel I should wait a week. Have Warren on bench like most of us. Yeah, I'd probably do that too.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Wait if you can.
Flanders, McCarthy lost me the Insight Creators League to Secko. That hurt horse. I wasn't going to
Couldn't have happened to a more deserving bloke, mate.
Yeah. Wheels up, Secko.
Should we spend 10 minutes on that one, or just 5 minutes on that one?
Yeah, we should do it. We should give it its own pod. NFL Fantasy Live News. Thanks for tuning in, lads. Trade Etienne Evans for Gibbs DJ Moore. Geez, that'd be spicy, wouldn't it?
I'm taking Gibbs DJ Moore because
I'd take Gibbs and DJ Moore
purely for the
Gibbs
fact that I think Mike Evans is stinky.
No, he is. He is. But Gibbs is by far the best player in that trade. So, and DJ Moore's not nothing, right? So, yeah, Etienne looked good, but he's not anywhere near the Gibbs level. So, yeah, fire it up.
Some bloke by the name of Damian Muller.
Kyle Pitts, baby.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
I knew he'd be all over it.
Granger, how much do we overreact? Flowers in, start Egbuka over Neighbours or Collins?
No.
Yeah, no.
Don't get Flowers in this week. Wait until he does it again. He's not going to move in price. You're not going to lose a lot of points. Egbuka over Neighbours and Collins? No. Sure? No. No. Just don't do it.
And last one, Peter. Do I hold Stroud? Didn't like his game at all.
Nah, get him out. That's probably the trade I'm making. If I've had Stroud in there and I've tried to have that stack of Nico and Stroud, that's when I'm bringing in Herbert or someone like that. That's the trade to make.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do us for this evening. We've been going for about an hour 20 here, but for the just over a couple hundred people that are listening to us live at the moment, we thank you for tuning in to us here at Insight. You can find our lads, Secko, D-Fab, and myself on Instagram, on Twitter, Insight NFL Football, Secko_IFS, D-Fab, Insight, or myself, Horse SC. We've got Super Coach shows. We've got fantasy football shows. We got plenty coming up here on the Insight Network. If you haven't yet, please hit like, subscribe, and the bell. But also, if you want access to articles when we're talking dynasty leagues, when we're talking waiver wire ads, we've got the Maverick who's been writing up articles within our Patreon for $5 a month. That's right. For less than a cup of coffee per month, you get access to all these articles and these guys within chat groups on tap 24/7 to ask any questions you may have regarding fantasy football. But for tonight, it's been a pleasure. We'll catch you again tomorrow night where we talk captaincy in Supercoach. We'll see you then.